Hello, everybody. This is Al. You've been following our travel blog. I'm here today in Uruguay, and I'm joined by Keith Preston, who has been a seasoned traveler, a professor of sociology, and he has a wealth of experience living time quite a bit in Europe and Latin America. Now, Keith, you come from a deep South background, don't you? You've known quite a few traditional Americans who have not had the chance to experience the life that we've experienced. There is a particular example that's quite striking. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of people who come from a similar cultural and geographical background that I do, who have a very parochial outlook on things in the sense that they've rarely traveled outside of their place of origin. I grew up in Virginia in a fairly rural, small town area. And to this day, I know people still from that region who've barely traveled outside the state of Virginia, certainly not outside of the United States. Some of them have never been on a plane before. And that it has, I think, fairly limited their worldview. It's limited their range of life experiences. For instance, in my particular case, I left the area I came from as a very young person when I was just out of my teens. And I've since been able to spend much of my life living in a fairly large secondary city, but I've also spent time in major U.S. cities. I've spent time in New York, in Detroit, and Los Angeles, and San Francisco, and Dallas. And I've also spent time in other parts of the world, in Toronto, Canada, in Mexico, in uh, the Netherlands, in Spain, Portugal, England, the Czech Republic. Uh, so, having had, and it's only because of my educational background and professional background that I've been able to do that, that I've had the money to be able to do this, that I've had the time and so forth. It was through academia that I acquired the skills that allowed me to become somebody who can have a very flexible schedule and can travel as much as I want to around the world. Uh, and it's also been through my professional endeavors that I've been able to generate the income necessary to be able to do this. And I haven't burdened myself with a lot of attachments. For example, I've never been married, I've never had children. And that's probably the common among a lot of digital nomad types. I've never been a really family oriented person. By contrast, I know people who come from the same kind of background I do. For instance, I knew a case of these two brothers. One of them had a similar life trajectory to my own. He received a university level education, advanced education, became reasonably successful in academia, had worked in business and other fields as well, and it's been able to do a lot of traveling and a lot of other things that are only available to people with these levels of skills and abilities and opportunities. On the other hand, this fellow, he had a brother who is pretty much stuck in the same place he's always been. He's been in the same town his entire life. He's barely been outside the state. He's never been outside the country. He didn't fly on a plane until he was middle aged. He was about the age I am now. So, what that shows is that if you don't reach out and seek adventure for yourself, you're going to be pretty limited in your life experiences. That's why, from the point of view of academic composition, that's why it's important to get an education and have a college degree and be able to have access to fields where you can work remotely, and be part of the laptop class, which gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of schedule and mobility and things like that. And also from the point of view of uh, expatriation, if you want to become an expat, you've got to first be able to consider where you'd like to go and how you're going to make a living while you're there. And being part of the laptop class, as I am, uh, allows you the opportunity to do these things.
Well, the laptop class, that's the key word. As a sociology professor, you have a lot to say about that, don't you? So that's the first thing we tell our clients here. Uh, that if you want to move to another country, the first thing to do is to make a living on the internet. If you don't have that, well, that's the first barrier that you need to overcome.
It really is, and it's through education that you're able to do this. It's the people who are part of the laptop class usually have college degrees, often graduate or postgraduate degrees, and that gives you the opportunity to work remotely or become self-employed in a range of fields. Both in liberal arts related fields as well as in professional and technological fields. So that's why it's important to pursue the education that you need to become part of the laptop class. And that's what we do with academic composition. We help you get those academic credentials that are necessary so you can advance into our world.
Well, you see, yeah, that's what's got to be done to become an expat. Learn marketable skills, not necessarily credentials, but if you do go for the credentials, find a remote job. Now that's easier said than done, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And you've got to get out there and look. And the more skills you have, the better. The more credentials you have, the better. And Alexi's right. There is a difference between skills and credentials. If you're capable of doing certain kinds of technological work online, if you have the professional skills, even whether you have formal credentials or not, it's more important that you can actually do the job. On the other hand, there are some jobs where you do have to have the credentials to work online or work remotely. And we can help you with either one of those. We can help you become an expat if that's what you want to do. We can also help you acquire the education and background you need to have the skills and have the credentials you may need to become an expat.
All right, Professor Preston, thank you so much. Guys, follow us at academiccomposition.com, www.academiccomposition.com. Check out our other YouTube channel, Academic Composition, the official channel. You'll find a lot of interesting content, and stay tuned for more videos about travel. So far, we're exploring South America, the southern cone, Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina, and Chile. You'll find plenty of interesting content, including tips on how to move to another country, how to learn a foreign language, how to get used to living abroad, and so much more. Thanks again, and you'll be hearing from us again very soon.